Jeff Koinange Holiday Special Kenya at 50. What a show is the only way I can describe the last hour or so. Amazing guests with amazing stories. And those who have missed this show, well, get on the Standard Media website and spread the word. We'll talk about folks with disabilities who do not see themselves as that. They see themselves just like you and me. And they've done amazing things representing Kenya at the highest levels. And on the bench right now is a young lady who spent close to 2 decades in America, 19 years. She learned to sign along the way. She's back home and she sees no place for people like her. The government simply does not have any accommodation for people like her. And when we talk about Vision 2030 and all those lofty ideas, we have to include everybody. Simply put, we're gonna put all hands on deck for this one. Listen up to this story, folks. Some advice for those of you who can take advice from Nyokabi Kinuthia. Nyokabi, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to come. Thank you for coming on the show. You saw my guests earlier on.
Yes.
Amazing people, aren't they?
Fantastic.
Huh?
Yes.
Like that young lady. I mean, how do you go through primary school, high school, college, and you're hearing impaired, and they allow you to do that? Is that legal in America, say?
No, that is illegal. That is discrimination for a child to be in a school system without the services require them to be at their fullest potential. There should be interpreters for the blind or runways for the wheelchairs. The government has to make it equal access and respect for anyone with a disability.
And can you imagine, Georgina is one example. How many Kenyans out there go through the hell that she has been through?
Thousands and millions of them. You know, her story should inspire the government and people in charge to make this kind of changes so that Georgina doesn't have to be the exceptional. She was able to read, and because of her family encouraging her, she was able to be who she is today. But, you know, as she said, she was forced to choose a career that she didn't really want to choose. She wanted to be a doctor or engineer. But because of the lack of services and the respect of her being deaf, she wasn't able to be at fullest potential. So I'm here to educate and make the government aware of the changes that should be done as our country is heading into 50 years and the Vision 2030. Yeah. It's time to look at the disability services.
But you must get frustrated, Nyokabi, because there's no place for people like you. I mean, there's very little place. It's the limited space for people like you.
It is frustrating after years of being out there and working in another country. Now I want to bring that knowledge back to my own people. And I'm here and I'm starting from scratch, trying to educate people what deaf means. It's not deaf and dumb. Your deafness has nothing to do with your IQ. Your blindness has nothing to do with your IQ. It could be a setback. You could be one-legged or one hand and you're still able to function. So it's time we make a change and we start respecting them as equal.
We have a Ministry of Education, as you well know. I'm sure they have a special ed division. Yes. What do they need to do to step up their game?
They need to change the laws and the policies. The laws and the policies, for example, where any child who's blind or deaf should have the interpreters, or the system should provide them the services they need. They should not have to go to school all in the separate vocational schools around the country. You know, if you're from Nairobi, why do you have to travel all the way to Tumutumu for the deaf school? Why do you have to travel all the way to Kiambu, wherever it is? You can go to school right here. Like if you live in Kilimani and you're deaf, go to Kilimani Primary, Nairobi Primary. You know, the government should pass the policies that anyone with a disability should be given the services that they need. It should be legal. It's legal all over around the world. Why is Kenya ignoring them? Yeah. Why are people in power not respecting these people or the young children who need education? The children are the leaders of tomorrow. It doesn't matter if they're deaf or blind or white or black. They are supposed to have the services.
Absolutely. And you are this generation, what we call the next generation, Nyokabi. And you lived in America all those years and could have happily stayed there, raised your family, and not even thought about coming back. But you came back. And many like you want to come back. Yes. But you find these hurdles, you find these challenges. Yes. You know? Yes. How does that make you feel? Does it make you feel like going back to America?
It makes you feel driven, you know. It makes you, if you can make it out there, you should be able to make it at home. It shouldn't be where we run back, you know. There we're just the bunch, you know. You're just trying to be identity crisis, identify yourself. But here, it's home. I mean, it's home. We should come in and be able to take all that knowledge that we brought from the first world and bring it back here and make the changes. Yeah. That's why we went to school. That's why we did all what we've done there. Now we're ready. Our children need to be close to their grandparents. It's time to come back and share that knowledge.
you didn't stumble. I mean, you didn't go to America to study sign language. Did you? How did you stumble upon it? If you will?
I was fascinated. I saw two people speaking sign. It was just quiet, and they were just laughing. And I was like, that's me. That's what I want to do. That is who I want to be. I want to be able to communicate silently and effectively, whatever it is. And I had never seen it before. And here we are, 13, 14 years later.
You did this in college?
Yes, I went to school and did freelance and did advocacy, worked with children. I work at the colleges, did all, but now my passion is to come here and do more of special ed and try and bridge these gaps, these loopholes, and figure out in the system what's missing. Why isn't this being passed? Why is the government ignoring these policies? Ministry of Education, what is it? The disability services. Kenya, Nairobi is growing so fast. Everything, the roads look different, there's buildings, but there's still a group being ignored. It's time for change.
Yeah. And for crying out loud, it's in the Constitution.
Yes, it is.
It's everyone's right.
Yes, it's everyone's right. And the language has been made a national language. This is fantastic. And there's interpreters. Now we're trying to set up an interpreter program in the universities so that they can get certified like we got certified, and then now the government can start placing them in the school systems or at the hospitals, and that the hospitals and the courts can be able to pay for the services. Because, for example, as a deaf person, I'm arrested, there's no interpreter. So you're arrested, your rights are not read to you, you go to jail, you have no clue what's going on. That should be illegal.
Yeah.
Just like I'm told you've been arrested because you parked the car wrongly, you've been arrested because you are driving drunk. Something like that. Then the deaf person should have the same right. So if there are 3 or 4 judicial interpreters and they've got to travel all around the country of them being arrested, that is unfair. They're falsely arrested and never given time to say their story or to be interpreted while they're in court.
And imagine living a life like Georgina did, and I'm sure there's millions of Kenyans out there. You're deaf at the age of 9. No one bothers to teach you sign. You learn yourself.
Yes.
You learn to lip read.
Yes.
I mean, it must be a living hell.
Yes, it must be. But look at her. I mean, when I found her story, it inspired me. She inspired me. I contacted you to say her story must come out. She must be the face of young ladies and men to say that, don't hide wherever you are, or parents who have deaf children, don't feel like it's the end of the world, So we need education, awareness for their parents, for the system, for the teachers, for the courts to understand that being deaf is not the end of the world, or being blind. It is just the beginning. It's just a difference. You could be fat, thin, short, but you still live every day to your fullest potential.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And for you, Nyokabi, you can continue fighting for their rights?
Yes. I want to be able to work with the ministry, with education, special education, disabilities. I'm here with lots of knowledge and experience, and I want these policies to be passed, and so we can have equal rights. Everyone, what's their rights? We're dealing with the rights, and it's about time that Kenya started improving it like the rest of the world.
Amen to that, Nyokabi. Good luck.
Thank you.
Don't go back to America.
I don't want to.
Where you belong.
Thank you.
Mama K, you'd be proud of your young girl right here. I tell you, oh my. Is anybody out there listening? There are folks coming back with knowledge and experience, and they want to share it. Come on, let's give them a chance. It's the least we can do. Because like I said a little earlier on, we need all hands on deck for this one. And if it's in the Constitution, it's time to start recognizing everyone in this equation that we call Kenya. What guests, what a show. This entire holiday season, that's what we'll be bringing you. Inspiring guests to make you think, to make you move forward, to help you when you're down. And yes, folks, to give you that extra strength when you need it. You cannot find guests like the ones we've had the past hour anywhere else. It's only right here on Jeff Koinange Holiday Special, Kenya at 50, celebrating the best and the brightest that we have in Kenya. Keep watching, folks, because it doesn't